There are moments in human history when ordinary people are thrust into circumstances so extraordinary that their story transcends borders, languages, and generations. The year 2010 brought us one such moment, a tale not of heroes seeking glory, but of men who simply went to work one morning and found themselves fighting for survival in ways none of us can truly imagine. Tonight, I'd like to take you deep beneath the earth, to a place where 33 men waited in darkness, where hope flickered like a candle in the depths, and where the world above held its breath for 69 days. This is the story of the San Jose mine disaster in Chile, a story drawn from official records, first-hand testimonies, and the careful documentation of engineers, psychologists, and journalists who witnessed what many called a miracle and what others understood as a testament to human resilience. If you value stories that reward patience and reflection, accounts that explore not just what happened, but what it reveals about human nature, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. I also share additional research materials and historical context in the community tab for those who enjoy continuing the exploration on their own. Now let us begin where this remarkable story begins, in the vast, unforgiving landscape of Chile's Atacama Desert. Chapter 1. The Atacama, a landscape of extremes. The Atacama Desert in northern Chile is known as the driest place on Earth. Some weather stations there have never recorded rainfall. It is a landscape of profound emptiness. Salt flats stretch toward distant mountains, and the earth itself seems to reject life. Yet beneath this barren surface lies something humans have sought for millennia: copper, gold, and other precious metals. For over a century, the Atacama has been scarred by mining operations. Small mines dot the landscape, some legal, some operating in the gray areas of regulation. The San Jose mine, located near the town of Copiapó, was one such operation, a copper and gold mine that had been worked, abandoned, and reopened multiple times since the 19th century. By August 2010, the San Jose mine employed approximately 300 workers, though not all were underground at any given time. The mine descended over 700 meters into the earth, that's nearly half a mile down, through a network of tunnels and shafts carved through solid rock. According to safety records that would later be scrutinized, the mine had a troubling history. There had been previous accidents, including a fatality in 2007, when a worker died in a tunnel collapse. Mining engineers, who examined the operation afterward, noted that safety protocols were, at best, inconsistent. But for the men who worked there, the San Jose mine represented something essential: employment in a region where jobs were scarce, a way to provide for their families in an economy that offered few alternatives. It's worth pausing here to consider what mining culture means, particularly in regions like northern Chile. Mining is not simply an occupation, it is often a family tradition, passed from father to son, a source of identity and pride. These men were not reckless adventurers. They were professionals who understood the risks and accepted them as part of their livelihood. On the morning of August 5th, 2010, 33 men descended into the San Jose mine for what they believed would be an ordinary shift. They would not return to the surface for 69 days. Chapter 2, August 5th, 2010, the day the mountain moved. To understand what happened that Thursday afternoon, we need to understand the structure of the mine itself. The San Jose mine was what engineers call a ramp mine. Rather than a single vertical shaft, it consisted of a spiral roadway that descended through the mountain like a corkscrew boring into the earth. Miners traveled up and down this ramp in vehicles, and it also served as the primary ventilation route and emergency exit. On August 5th, the day shift was underway. Some men were drilling, others were operating machinery. Several were taking their lunch break in a refuge area about 700 meters below the surface. The refuge, a small chamber carved into the rock, was equipped with basic supplies, some food, water, medical materials, and oxygen tanks. It was designed to sustain a dozen men for perhaps 2 days in an emergency. According to the testimony of Mario Sepulveda, one of the trapped miners who later became a spokesman for the group, the first sign of trouble came just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He described it as a sound unlike anything he had experienced. Not an explosion, but something deeper, more fundamental. One miner called it the roar of the mountain. What they were hearing was the sound of approximately 700,000 tons of rock giving way. A massive section of the mountain, a block of stone estimated by geologists to weigh as much as 2 skyscrapers, had sheared away and collapsed into the main ramp, completely sealing it. The collapse occurred above where the men were working. In an instant, their only route to the surface was blocked by an obstruction so massive that it would challenge every assumption about what a rescue might entail. It's difficult for those of us who have never been underground to truly comprehend what this meant. These men were not trapped in a collapsed tunnel where they might dig their way out. They were sealed in a functioning section of the mine, but separated from the surface by hundreds of meters of solid rock that had filled their only escape route. The initial reaction, according to later interviews, was not panic, but a kind of stunned disbelief. Several miners attempted to drive up the ramp in their vehicles, only to encounter the wall of debris. They reversed, tried alternate routes, found each path blocked. Within 30 minutes, a terrible realization had settled over the group. They were trapped, and no one on the surface yet knew they were alive. Chapter 3: The First Hours, Making Sense of Chaos. In those first chaotic hours, the 33 men gradually found their way to the refuge, the one secure location they knew would offer some protection. They were not all together when the collapse occurred. They had been scattered throughout different areas of the mine, but mining culture emphasizes certain protocols, and seeking the refuge in an emergency was one of them. Luis Urzua, the shift foreman and the oldest man in the group at 54, began to organize a head count: 33 men. All alive, remarkably, with only minor injuries. In that moment, at least, they had been fortunate. But the assessment of their situation was sobering. The refuge, as I mentioned, was designed for a short-term emergency, perhaps 2 days for a dozen men. They were 33. The supplies consisted of several bottles of water, cans of tuna fish, some packages of crackers, milk, oxygen tanks, basic medical supplies. By the most optimistic calculation, if strictly rationed, these supplies might sustain 33 men for 3 to 4 days. No one yet knew how long rescue might take, or indeed if anyone above even knew they were alive. According to testimonies compiled afterward, Urzua made several critical decisions in those first hours. First, he instituted strict rationing. Each man would receive a small spoonful of tuna and a sip of water every 48 hours. Second, he organized the men into work teams, some to explore possible alternate exits, others to create noise that might be heard above, others to maintain the refuge itself. Third, and perhaps most importantly, he established a routine and a command structure. In survival situations, psychologists tell us, maintaining purpose and social order can be as vital as food and water. The temperature in the refuge hovered around 95 degrees Fahrenheit with high humidity. The men stripped to their underwear. They rationed their helmet lamps, sitting in darkness most of the time to preserve batteries. They took turns sleeping in the small space, arranging themselves like puzzle pieces. It's worth considering what goes through a person's mind in such circumstances. Several miners later described the psychological weight of those first days, the uncertainty about whether anyone above knew they were alive, whether rescue was even possible, whether they would ever see their families again. José Henriquez, at 55, the oldest miner after Urzúa, took on the role of spiritual counselor. A devout Christian, he organized prayer sessions. According to other miners' accounts, these gatherings, regardless of individual religious beliefs, provided structure and communal support during the darkest hours. Some men wrote letters to their families, letters they hoped might somehow be delivered if their bodies were ever recovered. Others focused on practical matters, mapping the accessible areas of the mine, checking for water sources, monitoring the air quality. And above ground, a very different drama was beginning to unfold. Chapter 4. The surface, fear, hope, and desperate measures. When the collapse occurred, only a few workers on the surface witnessed it, a massive dust cloud erupting from the mine entrance, followed by that deep, ominous rumble. Initial reports were confused. How many men were below? 10, 20, 33. Within hours, families began arriving at the San Jose mine. They came from Copiapó and surrounding towns, mothers and wives, children and siblings, gathering at the mine entrance in a vigil that would last for weeks. The first rescue assessments were not encouraging. Engineers examining the collapse explained to government officials that the amount of rock blocking the main ramp was extraordinary, hundreds of thousands of tons. Traditional mining rescue procedures assumed you might need to clear a passageway through a collapse, but this was different. This was more like trying to dig through a mountain. Chile's mining ministry dispatched rescue experts. The Chilean government, under President Sebastián Piñera, who had taken office only months earlier, immediately mobilized resources. But even with commitment and resources, the technical challenges were immense. The initial plan was to drill exploratory boreholes, narrow shafts, just a few inches wide, that would descend through the rock to try to locate the men. But where to drill? The mine's maps were incomplete, and in some cases inaccurate. Engineers weren't certain precisely where the refuge was located, or even if the trapped miners would have reached it. Moreover, the rock itself was treacherous. The same geological instability that caused the collapse made drilling dangerous and unpredictable. Drills could veer off course, bits could break, additional collapses could occur. The first borehole began on August 7th, 2 days after the collapse. It would take over 2 weeks to reach the depth where the refuge was believed to be. During this time, the families at the mine entrance organized themselves into a makeshift community. They erected tents and shelters, calling the settlement Camp Hope. They took shifts, maintained constant presence, pressured authorities for updates. The media arrived, first Chilean journalists, then international crews. The story was beginning to capture global attention. 33 men trapped half a mile underground, fate unknown, a race against time in one of the most inhospitable places on Earth. There are two narratives unfolding simultaneously here, you see. Below ground, 33 men rationing food, sitting in darkness, wondering if rescue would come. Above ground, families refusing to give up hope, engineers wrestling with unprecedented technical challenges, a nation watching and waiting. Neither group knew what the other was experiencing. This disconnect, this profound separation, was in many ways as challenging as the physical barriers between them. By August 17th, the trapped miners had been below for 12 days. Their food supplies were exhausted. They were surviving on water they had found seeping from the mine walls, contaminated water that would later make many of them ill, but it kept them alive. Some had begun to lose hope. And then, on August 22nd, 17 days after the collapse, something remarkable happened. Chapter 5, Contact. Stamus bien en el refugio, lost 33 inches. The 17th drill hole, after multiple failed attempts, broken equipment, and redirected efforts, finally broke through into a cavern near the refuge on the evening of August 22nd. When the drill was extracted back to the surface, the bit was examined carefully. Standard procedure was to check for any signs, sounds, markings, anything that might indicate life below. What they found was a carefully handwritten note attached to the drill bit with tape. It read, in Spanish, Stamus bien en el refugio, loss 33. We are well in the refuge, the 33. I want you to imagine, if you will, what that moment meant. For the families who had maintained their vigil for 17 days, for the rescue workers who had labored without certainty, for a nation that had been holding its breath, all 33 men were alive. The news spread within minutes. At Camp Hope, the announcement was met with tears, embraces, prayers of thanksgiving. In Chile and around the world, headlines proclaimed what many were calling a miracle. But here is where this story takes on an additional dimension. Because discovering that the men were alive was only the beginning. Now came an even more daunting question. How do you rescue 33 men from 700 meters underground when the only connection to them is a borehole 6 inches in diameter? In the days following contact, a remarkable system was developed. The narrow borehole became a literal lifeline. Small capsules called pelomas or doves were sent down containing food, carefully calibrated nutrition to avoid shocking systems weakened by starvation, water medicine letters from families' communications equipment. For the first time, the miners could speak with the surface. They could hear their wives' voices, their children. Video cameras were sent down, allowing those above to assess their condition. The miners, despite their ordeal, demonstrated remarkable spirit. In video footage that circulated globally, they appeared gaunt but determined, maintaining humor even in their circumstances. Mario Sepulveda, who became known as Super Mario, conducted tours of their underground refuge, showing the world where they slept, how they had organized their space. But beneath the relief and celebration, difficult work continued. Because supplying the miners was one thing, extracting them was quite another. 3 separate rescue plans were developed, running in parallel. Plan A, attempt to widen one of the existing boreholes to create a rescue shaft. This was the fastest option, but technically challenging. The drill could veer off course. The hole could collapse. Plan B, drill a new, larger shaft from the surface directly to the refuge, using specialized equipment, more reliable, but slower. Plan C, a contingency involving a tunnel bored horizontally from an adjacent area of the mine. This was the slowest option, to be used only if the others failed. International assistance poured in. NASA sent experts in confined space psychology and survival. Drilling companies from around the world offered equipment and expertise. The story had become a global event, a test of human ingenuity and determination. But the drilling would take time, weeks at minimum, possibly months. The miners, having survived 17 days on virtually nothing, now faced a new reality. They were alive. They were in contact with the surface. They were receiving supplies. But they would remain trapped underground for an indefinite period, while the rescue shafts were slowly, painstakingly drilled. Chapter 6. Life Underground. The Long Wait. What is it like to live 700 meters underground for weeks on end, knowing rescue is coming, but not when? The miners who experienced this have described it as existing in a kind of suspended time, where days blurred together, where the psychological challenges were in some ways more demanding than the physical ones. With supplies now arriving regularly through the boreholes, the immediate crisis of survival had passed, but a new set of challenges emerged. The refuge, remember, was a space designed for short-term emergency use. It was approximately 540 square feet, about the size of a modest apartment's living room. Into this space, 33 men had to fit their sleeping areas, their makeshift latrine, their workspaces, their entire lives. The heat remained oppressive, around 95 degrees, with high humidity. The air quality, while monitored and supplemented with oxygen, was still poor. The men continued to wear minimal clothing, lived in near constant sweat and discomfort. But perhaps the greater challenge was psychological. These were 33 individuals with different personalities, different backgrounds, different coping mechanisms, trapped together in close quarters, with no privacy, no escape, no solitude. According to psychologists who consulted on the rescue, this situation contained all the elements that typically generate conflict: confined space, stress, uncertainty, diverse personalities, lack of resources. The potential for the group to fracture, for tensions to escalate into violence, was very real. That this largely didn't happen is a testament to several factors. First, the leadership of Louis Urzua, the shift foreman, who maintained structure and authority. He organized work shifts, assigned tasks, mediated disputes. He was, in effect, running an underground community with himself as mayor. Second, the decision by those coordinating the rescue from above to involve psychologists from the beginning. Every communication sent down was carefully considered. The miners spoke daily with mental health professionals who monitored their emotional states, provided counseling, helped manage conflicts. Third, the miners themselves developed coping mechanisms. They organized social activities. They sang, told stories, played games improvised from materials sent down. They celebrated birthdays. They maintained personal hygiene routines and work schedules that gave shape to their days. Jose Henriquez continued his role as spiritual advisor, leading prayers and Bible studies. Regardless of individual beliefs, these gatherings provided community and meaning. The men were divided into 3 groups, working 8-hour shifts. Some maintained the refuge. Some worked on clearing rock to prepare for the rescue shaft. Others handled communications with the surface. But there were difficult moments. Several miners struggled with depression. Others dealt with anxiety attacks, triggered by the enclosed space and the uncertainty. Some tensions did arise: disagreements over supplies, personal conflicts, the stress of confinement. There was also the complex emotional reality of their connection to the surface. While the ability to speak with family members was a blessing, it also brought pain. They could hear their children asking when they would come home. They could hear the worry in their wives' voices. Some miners later described these conversations as the hardest part of the ordeal, to be so close, yet still so impossibly far. Letters were exchanged. The miners learned about events in the world above, births, deaths, changes in their families' lives. They were present, yet absent, connected, yet separated. And all the while, above them, the drilling continued. Chapter 7. The Engineering Challenge, Drilling Through Uncertainty. While the human drama unfolded underground, an equally intense challenge was underway on the surface. The engineering problem of creating a shaft wide enough to extract a man through 700 meters of unstable rock with precision and safety. Plan B, drilling a new rescue shaft using a specialized drill called the Strata 950, had become the primary focus. This was cutting-edge drilling technology, but it had never been used in quite this way before. The drill needed to create a shaft 66 centimeters in diameter, about 26 inches, wide enough for a rescue capsule to pass through. It needed to descend 700 meters through various types of rock, some hard as granite, some fractured and unstable. Engineers from multiple countries contributed to the effort. The drill operator was Jeff Hart, an American from Denver, Colorado, who had extensive experience in difficult drilling operations. He would later describe the San Jose rescue as the most challenging assignment of his career. The drilling proceeded around the clock. The Strata 950 bored through the rock at varying speeds, sometimes several meters per day, sometimes just centimeters, depending on the rock type and conditions. There were setbacks. The drill veered off course and had to be redirected. Rock formations caused unexpected difficulties. Equipment broke down and needed replacement. Each delay meant more days for the trapped miners below. The families at Camp Hope maintained their vigil, watching the drilling operation, marking each meter of progress on signs and banners. They had transformed the area into a community, complete with kitchens, medical tents, prayer spaces, and a school for the children who remained with their mothers. The Chilean government, under intense public scrutiny, provided regular updates. President Piñera visited the site multiple times, met with families, spoke with the miners via the communication system. The media presence had grown to include crews from around the world. The rescue had become a global news event, broadcast constantly, followed by millions. It's worth considering the pressure this created. Every decision made by the rescue coordinators was public, scrutinized, analyzed. Engineers were working not just to save lives, but doing so under the gaze of the world. By early October, after 6 weeks of continuous drilling, Plan B was nearing completion. The shaft had reached nearly 600 meters. Engineers estimated that breakthrough to the miner's location would occur within days. Preparations began for the final, most dangerous phase, the actual extraction. Chapter 8. The Rescue, 13 hours that captivated the world. On October 9th, 2010, 65 days after the collapse, the drill broke through to the refuge. The shaft was complete. Now came the final challenge, designing a capsule that could safely transport a man through 700 meters of rock shaft, and coordinating a rescue operation unlike any attempted before. The rescue capsule, named Phoenix, was designed by Chilean engineers with consultation from NASA and submarine experts. It was a cylinder, painted in the colors of the Chilean flag, approximately 2 feet in diameter and 13 feet tall, with oxygen supply, communication equipment, and a harness system to secure the occupant. The plan was carefully orchestrated. First, a rescuer would descend to the refuge to coordinate the operation underground. Then, each miner would be extracted individually. The journey would take approximately 15 minutes per person. A team of doctors, psychologists, and support staff waited on the surface. On October 12th, at just before midnight, the operation began. The first person down was Manuel Gonzalez, a rescue specialist who volunteered to make the journey into the unknown. When his capsule reached the bottom and he stepped into the refuge, he became the first person from the surface to see the 33 miners in 68 days. The first miner to be extracted was Florencio Avalos, chosen because of his calm demeanor and physical condition. At 12:11 a.m. on October 13th, his capsule began its ascent. For 15 minutes, television cameras from around the world showed the cables slowly rising from the shaft. At Camp Hope, thousands of people watched in silence. The families of the trapped miners stood together, holding hands, praying. At 12:26 a.m., Florencio Avalos emerged from the rescue shaft. He was greeted by President Piñera, by rescue workers, by his 7-year-old son, who ran into his arms. The rescue continued through the night and into the next day. One by one, the 33 miners were brought to the surface. Each emergence was celebrated, each reunion with family was documented, each man was immediately taken for medical evaluation. Some of the miners emerged dancing, others wept. Some knelt and prayed. Mario Sepulveda, true to his personality, brought rocks from the mine to give as souvenirs and hugged everyone he encountered. Jose Henriquez, the spiritual advisor, emerged carrying a Bible and immediately led a prayer of thanksgiving. Luis Urzua, the shift foreman, was the last man out as tradition dictates. The captain leaves the ship last. He emerged at 9:55 p.m. on October 13th, 69 days after the collapse. When President Piñera asked him how he had kept the men together, Urzua replied simply, "We took it one day at a time, and we stayed united." The rescue had taken less than 24 hours from start to finish. All 33 men were alive. All were in remarkably good condition, considering their ordeal. Chapter 9: Aftermath. The long road after rescue. The world celebrated the rescue as a triumph, and in many ways it was. Against extraordinary odds, through ingenuity, determination, and international cooperation, 33 men were brought home alive. But the story of the Chilean miners did not end when they emerged from that shaft. In the days and weeks following the rescue, the miners were hospitalized, evaluated, treated for various conditions: malnutrition, dental problems, infections from the contaminated water they had consumed, psychological stress. They were also thrust into an overwhelming level of public attention. They were invited to appear on television programs, to travel, to speak at events. Some were offered book and movie deals. They met celebrities, politicians, were treated as heroes. For some miners, this attention was welcome. For others, it was another form of stress, another challenge to navigate. The long-term effects of their experience became apparent over time. Several miners struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder. Some had nightmares, difficulty in enclosed spaces, problems adjusting to life above ground. Some marriages and families, strained by the ordeal and its aftermath, fell apart. Some miners battled depression and required ongoing psychological support. The San Jose mine was permanently closed and sealed. Investigations into the collapse revealed what many had suspected. The mine had been operating with inadequate safety measures, and the collapse was the result of poor practices and insufficient regulation. Lawsuits were filed. Some miners received compensation. But the legal and financial aftermath was complex, contentious, and in many ways unsatisfying. The miners themselves had different experiences in the years that followed. Some found new careers, some returned to mining, some struggled to find their place. A few wrote books about their experience. One, Edison Pena, discovered a passion for running while underground and went on to complete the New York City Marathon. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of the rescue is not about the miners themselves, but about what their story revealed to the world. It demonstrated the power of hope. The families who refused to give up, who maintained their vigil, who believed when others doubted. It showed the importance of leadership under pressure, Louis Urzua's steady command, the rescue coordinator's careful planning, the engineer's persistence. It proved the value of international cooperation, experts from multiple countries contributing their knowledge to solve a seemingly impossible problem. And it reminded us of something fundamental about human nature, that we are capable of enduring extraordinary hardship when we have purpose, community, and the belief that we are not forgotten. More than a decade has passed since the rescue at San Jose. The 33 miners are now in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Some remain in the public eye, others have returned to quiet lives, away from cameras and attention. When I reflect on this story, several things stay with me. First, the role of community, both underground and above. The miners survived not just through physical endurance, but through their ability to maintain social bonds, to care for one another, to remain human in inhuman circumstances. And the families at Camp Hope demonstrated the power of collective hope, of refusing to accept despair. Second, the reminder that technology alone does not solve crises. Yes, the drilling equipment and engineering expertise were essential, but so were the psychologists who counseled the miners, the leaders who made difficult decisions, the rescue worker who volunteered to descend first into the unknown. Third, the complexity of survival. We often think of rescue as the end of the story, and certainly bringing the miners to the surface was the climax. But for those 33 men, the real work of survival continued long after the cameras left, in the quiet struggle to integrate what they had experienced, to rebuild their lives, to find meaning in what they had endured. There's a photograph from the rescue that I find particularly moving. It shows the last miner, Louis Urzua, standing at the top of the rescue shaft, just emerged, wearing dark sunglasses, against light he hadn't seen in 69 days. He's surrounded by people, but in that moment, he stands alone, still processing the transition from that deep darkness to this overwhelming brightness. I think that image captures something true about all profound experiences of survival. The return is not simple. The transition is not immediate. The story does not end when the crisis ends. The Chilean miners spent 69 days buried alive, but in many ways, they spent years after that learning what those 69 days had meant, what they had taught, what scars they had left. And yet, when interviewed years later, many of the miners speak not just of trauma, but of gratitude. Gratitude for the second chance at life, for the relationships that sustained them, for the discovery of strengths they didn't know they possessed. Jose Henriquez, the spiritual advisor, said in an interview years later, "We went down into that mine as strangers. We came out as brothers." That is what I take from that experience. Not the fear, not the suffering, but the love we showed one another when everything else was stripped away. Perhaps that is the truest legacy of the Chilean miners, not the engineering triumph, not the media spectacle, but the quiet testimony to what humans are capable of when everything is taken from them except one another. The San Jose mine entrance is sealed now, marked by a simple memorial. The 33 men whose names are engraved there lived through something most of us cannot truly imagine, and by grace and determination, survived to tell the tale. Their story reminds us that human endurance is not just about physical strength, but about the bonds we forge, the hope we maintain, and the meaning we create even in the deepest darkness. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Stories like this, accounts that require patience and reflection to fully appreciate, are what this channel seeks to explore. If you found this exploration worthwhile, I invite you to subscribe. Your thoughtful comments and reflections are always welcome. I read them all, and I appreciate the community of engaged viewers who make this work meaningful. Until next time, I encourage you to remember those 33 men and what their story teaches us about resilience, community, and the light we can find even in the deepest darkness.